All right. Looks like we're officially live. I'm here with Nathan from Florida, as you've all seen.
That's me.
Yeah. We're going to go ahead and just tweet out the link real quick. We'll hang out here 1 second. We'll just get everything rolling. Probably should have did that beforehand, but
Oh, I didn't even see we have like an actual chat. Yo, what's up?
yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
like this was streaming to like YouTube or something. I didn't realize that this was like its own thing.
Yeah. No, I literally just figured it out like right before this. So basically, like, I'm using this to like stream us on YouTube, but like I wasn't live till like just now.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I see it. Sorry.
Yeah. So no, you're
I'm
good,
sorry.
bro. I'm all learning this myself, like literally as I
Yeah.
go. So they were just typing beforehand, like without seeing anything.
Yeah.
All right, gotta get the link here. Oh, did I tweet it already? Oh, yeah, I already tweeted it. We're chilling. Oh, I apologize. I'm getting over a cold too. So voice is hoarse.
Alrighty.
But yeah. So thank you for being here, of course.
Yeah,
That's
my
first of all,
pleasure.
intros.
I'm still kind of in shock that this whole thing went the way it did.
Mhm.
Like I don't know. I wasn't really not expecting this response.
Yeah,
So it's cool.
and now you're here. You're on Tetron
Yeah.
Live. Welcome.
Yeah, it's an honor. This is, would you believe it or not, the first interview I've actually ever done. So,
Nice.
um, yeah, it's an
Well,
honor to be here.
well, I'm honored to have you because this is the first interview I've done, so I feel like it's a great learning experience for both of us. So,
Yeah, for
chat, let
sure.
us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, how we can improve. We're here for you. You're here
Yeah.
for us. So yeah. But what was the day like? Like you were there, you saw Kramer,
Oh
and like
yeah.
what was the thought process?
Okay. So, I guess a lot of people have kind of asked me similar questions, like, what was like I don't know, how did I decide to ask him that question or whatever, or like,
Mhm,
what drove me to do that. So when I first saw that he was going to be speaking on campus, I was like, immediately, I got to troll him. Like, I got to do something that's like a troll. I got to ask a troll question or something during a Q&A, because I didn't actually realize at the time that they were going to be filming an episode on campus. I
mhm.
just saw that they were doing a Q&A thing at the business school. So initially I was just going to ask him, like, if you think if I mislead enough people, I can get my own TV show. Like, that was going to be my question. Like,
That would be
um,
wild.
yeah, I decided not to do that because I feel like I don't know, I didn't want to be too much of a dick.
Mhm.
I didn't want to just like shut me down.
Yeah, be like, get out
Um,
of here. Like,
yeah, right. So like at 11 a.m. on like the day they were filming, they had the private Q&A thing, and I showed up like 8 minutes late, and just sat down. I'm
Mhm,
like, I don't have a question. I'm just gonna wait to come up with something. There's a bunch of people in front of me that like had their hands raised. It was really informal. It was just like he was up on stage, had a microphone, he
mhm.
called on people to ask a question. And somebody asked about crypto and what he thought about investing in crypto. And he said, just like outright, didn't even answer the question, just said, crypto's a scam. The whole market's rigged. I'd never advise anybody to invest in crypto. It's all scam. It's a rigged market, is what he said.
Mhm,
And I was like, okay, GameStop. Like, come on. Like,
mhm,
there's no way you could tell me that crypto is less rigged than the stock market,
mhm.
So that's the question I came up with. And I like raised my hand to ask it, and they never got to me. So I never had a chance to ask him the question during the Q&A, which is like really, I wanted his answer for it. So then I just went up to the front and I was like, hey, I never got to ask my question. Like, all right, cool. We can put you on TV to ask the question. And I was like, okay, sure.
Like, well, all
Um,
right.
yeah,
If
like,
you say
I'm
so, I
sure.
mean, shit.
Yeah. I was like, if you want me to ask it on TV. So they just asked me for my name. They asked me where I was from, and they just asked me the stock. They didn't actually vet me. Like, they didn't vet the
Mhm,
question. They didn't ask me for the question. Um, and some people actually said I should specify that nobody like really asked for my question,
mhm.
because a lot of people have said they thought that I was like a plant by one of the producers, like to
Oh,
give him a
really?
tough question or something. No,
Mhm,
I wasn't. They just didn't vet my question. Here, I'll actually,
mhm.
because I had to text the producer. I'll
Oh,
read you
yeah.
exactly what I said.
Sounds good.
Um,
Let's hear it.
yeah. So basically, I said, my question is about GameStop and the larger implications on the market as a whole. That was my question. And they're like, okay, perfect.
Hmm.
I wasn't lying. I wasn't
Yeah, no, I
misleading.
mean, that's
That was
that's
my
what you were gonna
question,
ask.
right? Yeah. So then, yeah, I guess I went up And I was actually initially I was telling you this earlier, but
Mhm.
I was initially gonna change my question because I was told that I was now gonna be in the lightning round. So it was like a super quick, you ask the question, he gives you a quick response, and that's it. It's like, okay, well, he's not gonna have enough time to give me a response for this GameStop related question. So I was like, okay, can I change my question to something about Nintendo? I was like, I'm just not gonna troll him now, because it's not gonna get a good response, right? And then they're like, no, nope, you can't change your question. We have the graphic made. You have to go with your original
It's
question about
already.
GameStop. I was like, okay. I mean, if you insist. So, yeah, I mean, I went up there and I asked, and I got that response. And after, I mean, as he gave the response, nobody really realized that the kind of non-answer that he gave. They were just kind of
Mhm.
just like, okay, whatever. And then I heard the answer. I'm like, okay, this is just gonna get cut out of the broadcast or something.
You're like,
Like,
yeah, whatever.
yeah, or nobody's even gonna like take a look at this because he didn't answer the question. Um, and then I
Mhm.
moved to the side, and the guy after me came up, and he was like, just talking about his own question. He was like, I forgot to say my name, and I was like, did you hear the answer he gave me? And he
Mhm.
was like, oh yeah, I guess that wasn't really an answer. And then that was basically as far as it went. And I just went home
Mhm.
thinking like, oh, that was a really cool experience. And
Mhm.
then I woke up in the morning at like 10:30 a.m. the next day with a bunch of texts from my family, like,
No
oh my
way.
god, you're famous on Reddit.
That's
So
crazy. So
yeah.
basically, like when you were there, like nobody
Hmm.
reacted. It was like whatever
No.
there. Like
Yeah. It was just kind of like
that's
a,
crazy.
yeah, whatever. There's no reaction.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty hilarious how like in person, like there, like everyone's
mhm,
just like, oh, whatever. They just like heard it or like they're so focused
mhm.
on their question or whatever. But
Yeah,
then like
exactly.
online, they just like someone like unusual whales, for example, like that's where I saw it. I was like, holy shit.
That was
They just clipped it
crazy.
like
That was crazy. I follow them, and then I saw
yeah,
myself in my feed. I was like,
that's
"What the
awesome.
fuck?" It
That's
was
the
crazy.
craziest thing.
Yeah.
I remember like one time I saw myself on like Superstar or like not like myself, but someone like just like
Mhm.
tagged me in something or like post. I was like, it's so weird,
Yeah.
like scrolling and see yourself in the feed. But that's like
Yeah.
way bigger, like unusual whales. Like they're
Yeah.
always posting the unusual things, like so
Yeah.
it's an
And
unusual
I was
answer.
yeah, I was like, That's insane. I never expected to see myself on a stock page like that."
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. I'm happy you got that experience. Now you're here.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It's still a very surreal experience being called a legend, being
Yeah.
tagged in so many tweets and like people messaging me. I got a message
Mhm.
on Reddit. Somebody asked me if I wanted to be her third husband. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like people always say, like, "Oh yeah, like my wife's boyfriend," and like stuff like
Yeah,
that.
but
Like
it's
so
just
it's
like,
just like
"What?"
memes. Like, but you're like, okay, yeah, this is where I'm
Yeah.
at now in terms of people knowing who I am.
Yeah,
I'm Nathan from Florida.
yeah, people know Nathan from Florida now, which
Yeah.
is kind of crazy.
Does it feel weird like having your name just like attached to a state? Like I don't know. I feel weird if I was like Noah from New Jersey. Like it just seems
Yeah,
like.
it's kind of funny
Mhm,
that people know me as Nathan from Florida, but now I'm like,
mhm,
I don't know how far this is propagated. Like millions of
mhm,
people now know about Nathan from Florida, and it's
mhm,
like I don't know who knows me. Like a lot of people know me, but I don't know who knows me. So
mhm.
it's kind of strange that like people know me and they know what school I go to now. Um,
I see what you're
and
saying. Yeah, just kind of
it's
like
very yeah, it's
knowing
kind
where
of
you're at.
strange.
Like.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, but I haven't been recognized yet. So
Mhm.
if somebody recognizes me, then
It'll be really
um
real.
it'll be real for sure.
Like, if you're in the mall or something and someone's like, "Yo, Nathan from Florida," like, that'd be
Yeah,
crazy, like, that'd
yeah.
be that funny, like.
I've got a few messages from people like in Miami that'd be like, "Hey, if I
Mhm.
see you, I'll say hi." And I'm like,
I'm gonna holler,
"Okay."
like
Yeah,
like,
like all
"Hey!"
right.
Mad funny.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Also, I just saw somebody in the comments
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say
said,
that, yeah, let's check the chat.
yeah, somebody said, "What was the question
Mhm,
and response?" Um, yeah, so basically, he said that crypto was rigged earlier in the day, like not on air, just during a Q and A informal thing. He said that crypto is a rigged market. So I asked him. I don't remember the exact wording of my question, but basically, I said, in the past, you said crypto is a rigged market, but with what we saw with GameStop and how big firms were able to shut down trading because they were losing money, how is that less rigged than crypto? And then he just didn't give me an answer. He floundered around, and
mhm.
then, yeah, that was that.
And then
Um,
usual else was posting it.
yeah, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know where that clip has ended up.
Mhm.
Like, I'm just waiting to see like stocks guy on Twitch. Like, dude, I don't know.
Like
It's kind of
clipping it or
crazy.
like memeing it or I know what you're saying. Like it
Yeah,
could just become
yeah,
like into anything. Like that's kind of how the internet goes. Just people just like
yeah.
make it into a whole thing.
Yeah, and I was just not at all expecting this because like
Mhm.
people were messaging me on like in the comments of my because I did like some sort of verification
Mhm.
post on Super Stonks, which got like
Mhm.
16,000 upvotes, which
Oh,
is
yeah, I
just
saw that. Yeah, with the
yeah,
user thing. Yeah.
yeah, that was crazy. So people were saying, "Oh, that was like a really sincere question. That was really awesome the way you did that." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, I mean, like I was sincere because I genuinely wanted an answer."
Yeah. So it wasn't
And
even like completely a troll. It was like actually want to know.
no,
Like.
yeah, I was like, at that point, I was just like, okay, well, I gotta ask him. I was upset
Mhm.
because I didn't think I was gonna get a response, and I thought that if
Mhm.
he had more time, he'd be able to give me a response.
I
My
see what
mind
you're
was not, my
saying.
mind was not like legitimately 100%. I'm gonna troll him. I thought I was
Yeah.
just gonna give him a tough ball, like a hard ball or whatever. And but no,
Mhm.
afterwards, I was not expecting that people would pick that up. It's
Yeah.
still very surreal.
Yeah. It's just crazy that like he just got like, so stumped too. And it's just like in the moment we were like, ah,
Hmm.
whatever. Like
Yeah,
it was just an experience, and then like you just go online the next day like, oh, okay. Everyone thought this
yeah,
was crazy. Like,
yeah. It's funny.
but
It really is.
yeah. So since you brought up crypto though, are you like involved in crypto in any way? Like, or what are your thoughts on kind of crypto and just everything that's happened over the past year?
Yeah, I'm a little bit involved in crypto. Again,
Mhm.
I've said this before, but
Mhm.
I've never really had a lot of money to invest, in like the stock
Mhm.
market or anything. I kind of just paying rent and paying for my tuition. But I do have a little bit of money in crypto. Um,
Mhm.
I put it probably, gosh, I don't even know, about like $200 I think into crypto, which really
Mhm.
it's not a lot. If you think about it, I think I have one Litecoin, and like a little bit of Ethereum.
Gotcha.
I'm down. I'm down $91, but like
I think we're
I
all like anyone who's owning
yeah,
crypto right now is kind of in that boat. So
yeah, I bought back in like November of 2021, right? So like that was
gotcha.
right before the entire market crashed.
Yeah, yeah, right at the like near peak. But
Yeah.
everyone's sort of most excited at that time. You know, that's kind of the period we were in.
Yep. Yep. So, I mean, I'm a little bit
Mhm.
involved in crypto. I think crypto is cool.
Mhm.
I think that it's necessary. Decentralized currency, I think, is really necessary.
Mhm.
Saves us from things like, the Federal Reserve.
Mhm.
Um,
Like the
I
endless
don't
just
like.
printing right now. It's just
Yeah.
it's nuts. It's very
Hmm.
alarming too. Like
Oh yeah.
the debt to GDP is just like going up, and it's like debt carries interest, and interest rates are higher now. And like
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very
It's
bizarre.
quantitative easing and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary, and the stuff that they're doing with trying to regulate it, the SEC trying to
Hmm.
regulate crypto, I think that is just it's
Hmm.
scary. They're going to try to introduce their own crypto, and yeah,
Yeah. The central like dollar or whatever it is, like that's
yeah,
very interesting because then it's like, oh, you don't agree with us? We'll just
yeah,
freeze that. Like, sorry.
yeah, yep.
And that becomes like,
Becomes
whoa.
social credit score and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's and this whole chat like GPT thing, like that scares me too.
Oh
Like it's
yeah.
just I mean, I don't think it does I think it scares everybody. I mean, like a little bit, but it's just like
Hmm.
seeing how like all this is kind of all happening at once, like it's quite alarming to me. Like
Oh
all this
yeah.
in such a short period of time. Like the example I always kind of make is like Google was only established what, like 20, 25 years ago. Imagine another
Yeah.
20 or 25 years of like how far we've come from Google. Like
Yeah.
it's in like a whole
It's
nother
scary.
yeah.
Very scary. Yeah. I mean, like I've seen those memes on like Twitter and stuff where they like do those convincing deep
Mhm.
fakes of like Trump or whatever. And
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
they're really good deep fakes. Like they're funny, but
Yeah.
it's scary because like soon you're not gonna be able to tell. And it's
Yeah, that's
like,
right. It's like, what if they just keep getting better? Like,
yeah, yeah. And I've seen those like deep fake like people and stuff. Like, my
mhm.
God, it's scary.
Yeah, like
It's
Elon, I see a lot of those. Like, oh yeah, like
mhm,
buy my crypto or this or that, like stuff like that.
yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be like a
Mhm.
rough decade, I think.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Because it's like I forgot exactly the quote is, something like weak leaders, or like tough
Oh yeah.
times make weak leaders, or tough times
Hmm.
make strong leaders, easy
Hmm.
times create weak leaders. And like I feel like
Yeah.
they've just been like, oh, let's just fire up the money printer forever. And now it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, that's not always going to work forever. So
We're gonna enter the weak times, or I guess like
mhm.
tough times. Um, yeah, it's been easy writing since the '90s, and I feel like it's all gonna come crashing down soon. I
Yeah.
don't know, not to instill fear, but
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I kind of feel the same. Where like
hmm
I feel like that, but I don't like to talk like that too much because it's like you don't want
hmm
to just be negative. It's like who wants to hear that kind of thing? But at the same
yeah,
time, it's like when you just like look at the things happening around us, like it's hard not to be alarmed and like at least try and adjust. And like what I kind of try and remember, or like perspective I'm trying to put myself in, is like, all right, well, if things are gonna like crash in terms of like stocks, crypto, and prices, like I'll look at it as my time to like execute, my time to like really be able to buy into things and invest big, and then like build for the long term. So I feel like at least it's
yeah,
like our opportunity, as like younger individuals. So it's at least the one plus side, if that is kind of the case.
yeah. But I mean, yeah, like another way you got to look at it is, if things get tough, they're gonna get even better
Hmm.
than they were before. So
That's true.
yeah.
Because yeah, tough times make tough people in a way. Because then it's
Hmm.
also like you got to like go through whatever's going on in the moment, and then in the
Yeah.
future you'll be like, oh well, that time like I don't even know how I was managing all that, like when I was younger or this or that. Or like when
Yeah.
you hear like parents say stories like, "Oh yeah, back when like whatever, we used to like walk to school in the snow and like all that," like
Yeah. Yeah.
those dramatic stories.
Yeah. We're definitely gonna have those stories to tell.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I don't think we've quite seen. I mean, everybody talks about how we're living through like the worst whatever right now.
Hmm.
I think there's definitely there's definitely more stuff we haven't even really thought of. You know,
Hmm.
like when it comes, especially to technological development, like stuff we haven't
Yeah.
even thought of with AI and all this
Hmm.
other stuff. Like, I mean, one big thing that I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about is the demographic collapse that's like
Hmm.
plaguing a lot of Western countries. Like with China right now,
Hmm.
like, oh man, the economy is going to suffer because China right now is going through a demographic collapse. They have like their population's aging like at a rate I think higher than Japan.
I
And
heard a little
if
bit about Japan, like in terms of
yeah,
that.
Japan has a really tough time. They have a huge elderly population, like a really small working class population,
Hmm.
like working age population, and it's like unsustainable. Um,
Damn.
yeah,
So
it's scary.
is this kind of what like Elon's usually like talking about, where he's like saying like people need to have more kids, like it
Yeah,
kind of in relation to what you're saying?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because like we're below the replacement rate of like
Hmm.
birth rates are below replacement value. So like we're gonna have it's like less and less young people, which means that like
Hmm.
the economy is gonna be shrinking. I've heard people say that like that'll be in tandem with like robots replacing the workforce or whatever. But
Hmm.
um, I have no idea.
Yeah, that like all kind of blows my mind. Like I'm honestly not that
Yeah.
familiar with that kind of stuff, but definitely like in terms of the AI and like taking jobs, like you think that's legitimately something that's like going on like as we speak? Like when people are like, oh, like Chat GPT is like replacing jobs, right? I see it like for BuzzFeed, but I think like, all right, like BuzzFeed is like such a minor level of things. But like how
Hmm.
far is it really? Like you think it's like happening real fast, like it's just starting to happen, or like kind of what are your thoughts there?
I have no idea to be honest when it comes to that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. I'm not one of the big Yang gang kind of like universal
Hmm.
basic income. I really don't know about like how fast we're developing like that.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, in Texas they have that new like McDonald's where there's nobody working there,
Hmm.
which is kind of like a little weird that that's already happening where you can have entire stores and just like get rid of I guess entry level jobs entirely.
Hmm.
For like these big firms can just it's like way easier to just have robots working at a restaurant than people. So like service industry jobs are getting replaced. I don't know how long it'll take before other jobs are getting replaced.
Hmm. Yeah, like the ones that are saying like, oh, like Chat GPT is like taking all these jobs and this and that.
Hmm.
But I see what you're saying, where it's like it's still kind of just like coming to surface, and like I guess we'll see as time goes on. But what
I
I
don't know
think
if
about,
there's.
Oh, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I was gonna say I don't know if there's gonna be like some sort of government intervention to prevent
Yeah, that's
people from
true.
losing their jobs.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like they'd be like, like,
Yeah.
but it's what I think about too is like, you see like a lot of companies now. I think it was like Target reported a lot of like stealing, like on
Hmm.
their like earnings, like a lot of loss due to like theft. And you'll see all
Yeah.
these videos now of people just stealing stuff. Like I feel like these companies would rather like automate everything and just like eat the loss on like things literally being stolen. Like
Yeah.
even like when I worked at Marshalls, like I actually used to be like a Marshalls like sales floor manager,
Hmm.
and we weren't even supposed to call the cops if somebody stole. Like somebody's supposed to steal. Like if they could steal right in front of me, I could see them do it. I'm not supposed to call the cops. I'm supposed to email like loss prevention as like an official report. And then literally like one time, one of my like employees, like while I was like manager on duty, called the police because she like just freaked out and it's just like an older lady. And I was like, all right, it's fine. I'm like, next time, you're not supposed to do that. She's like, not supposed to do that. What? I'm like, I don't make the rules. It's just what they say. But then they got mad at me for calling the cop, like her calling the cops. And I'm like, mad. I'm like, what? She just reacted. Like, that's crazy. So that was
Yeah.
like, that really told me like from the corporate level, it's like, oh, it's fine. Like if it makes sense in terms of profits, like it all doesn't
Hmm.
matter. And that makes me think like with robots and like jobs and like just like all this automation we're kind of talking about, that can kind of all come together. It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Like in those Amazon stores that have no workers, you just walk in and walk out.
Yeah,
That's scary.
exactly. The cashless.
Yeah, like the Amazon Go stores. You just
Hmm.
walk in and you grab and then you leave. I did that, and that was like I went to the one up in Seattle,
Hmm.
and that was really weird because there's like a ton of cameras in the ceiling and stuff.
Hmm.
And you like pick up an item and you just leave and you get a
It's
bill.
so bizarre.
That's creepy. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
creepy. I think that might be the direction that some places might be
Hmm.
going. It's kind of worrying,
Yeah.
but
That makes me think like if that becomes like the new norm, like they'll be like not like off brand, but there'll be like a separate like type of place where you're like, oh, like I can actually have human interaction still at like this type of store, like, oh, I love going there because I still have a cashier. Like it might
yeah,
become like a unique experience to actually have somebody like checking you out. Like it'll be so like common that it's just like automated or just like walk out the fucking place. Like it's
yeah.
crazy.
It's a little scary to think about. That's like a lot of the kind of government tracking
Hmm.
your purchases and everything, or like big companies tracking your purchases. Little scary surveillance state kind of
Hmm.
direction we might be headed.
Yeah, and it's just like everything in terms of like size, like every like in tech companies, they just get bigger and bigger and they just eat up like smaller companies and they just kind of like build like Google ginormous, Meta
Yeah.
ginormous, like Microsoft, Apple, like there's so much influence, not even in
Hmm.
terms of like monetary value, but I feel like just over like everything. Like those like four or five names I just named alone make up like a good like 10-15% of the S&P 500, which is just insane because they're like
Yeah.
mega caps. Like it's just so bizarre how like
Yeah.
over time we've kind of just it's like, oh, whatever, they're just growing. Oh, it's just a big name. Oh, yeah, yeah. And then now it's all of a sudden it's like, wow, everything's automating. These companies are huge. Like all of a sudden it's
Yeah.
like this is a real problem. And like I feel like the scary thing is too, a lot of other people like our age like don't even like really see it that way. And like I'm not trying to tell other people how to think or anything like that, but I feel like a lot of people don't even like consider the possibility like all these crazy things are happening. It affects our future. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And like once those firms are really like, I think especially investment like companies like BlackRock
hmm,
and Citadel and like all these huge firms. I mean BlackRock controls what $30 trillion worth of
hmm,
money investment.
hmm.
Like
It's
they
crazy.
yeah,
If
and
you look up
that
their name,
level of yeah, I mean that
okay.
level of power is unheard of in human
Hmm,
history. Like they can their whole ESG score that depends on whether or not they choose to invest in your firm, like
hmm,
that like can make or break companies. Like if they decide that you're not compliant, they can just not invest. All their subsidiaries won't invest in you, and then
hmm,
you never grow as a venture capital firm or something like that.
hmm.
It's scary the amount of power that these few firms have.
Yeah, like what's really stuck out to me, like just learning about BlackRock and like Vanguard, when you look up at like any company, right, or just look up their insider holdings or sorry, institutional holdings rather, you'll always find like a big chunk of it is like BlackRock or Vanguard or like some of those other big names. And it's like they literally have their hands in like everything, which is
Oh
just
yeah.
very bizarre that that's how it all works. And
Yeah.
what I've uncovered, like with GameStop and the whole like, I'm sure you've been on Superstock a little, so I don't know if you've heard like about DRS or seen like those purple circles.
Yeah, I have heard of that. I'm still not
Yeah.
entirely sure
Mhm.
how that works.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I'll like really briefly explain it. So basically, DRS is just withdrawing from like a brokerage, like withdrawing from the DTC, because it actually turns out like how they kind of stopped everything in January of 2021. Every share owned in a brokerage isn't actually owned by you or even your brokerage. It's actually all the name of a company called Seed and Co. And Seed and Co is just the representation for the DTC. Like that's their representing company. And basically, if you have a share, let's say like Infidelity, like I have a share Infidelity of GameStop, and then like I sell it, and then you buy it in like Charles Schwab, right? It would change from like Seed and Co, Fidelity's brokerage ID for the benefit of Tetron. Then it would be like change the name of Seed and Co, Charles Schwab brokerage ID for the benefit of Isolation Streams, right? Or Nathan from
Mhm.
Florida. So
Yeah.
basically, the name Seed and Co never actually changes. The brokerage ID and the beneficiary, right? Like technically, you think you own the shares because it's in your brokerage in your
Yeah.
name, right? Technically, they're all just in the name of Seed and Co. But the only way out of that is by DRSing because you're actually booking it to your name, like you're registering it in your legal name rather than in the name of Seed and Co.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
So
That's
yeah,
yeah, that's
it's
definitely what
crazy,
needs to
right?
be
That it's
done.
all the one name, like it's all
Yeah,
one company.
that's crazy. How'd that even happen? How long has that
Mhm.
been happening?
What's the most insane part since like 1980 or something like that? Like it all kind of began when the DTC was established. So basically, it used to be like paper certificates. You know, like when you see like the old movies and stuff, they're all like exchanging the certificates constantly. But when everything
Mhm.
started going digital, they wanted to easily be able to like move the certificates back and forth amongst people and amongst brokerages. So they're like, all right, let's just put it all into one name, all into one system. And when you do like a transfer of a stock, if I transfer it, right, let's say I have a brokerage in Charles Schwab and Fidelity, and I just want to change names, I would
Yeah.
transfer it, like I would submit a transfer through the receiving custodian, and then the receiving custodian would request it from like, so like if I'm going to Charles Schwab and I have it at Fidelity, then Charles Schwab would request it from Fidelity, and Fidelity is going to send it through the ACAT system. The ACAT system is by the run by the National Securities Clearing Corporation, which is owned by the DTC. So pretty much they use the name Seed and Co to keep all the shares in the same name, and then they use the ACAT system to just keep changing where the shares are located. But it's like, who's really checking Seed and Co? And that's where the speculation comes of like the naked shorts and like
Yeah.
people think in January 2021 how everything stopped was the DTC was like, whoa, we can't have this because we don't even have the shares. And if we don't like we are the shares, you know what I mean? Like if they didn't have
Mhm.
the shares, that's like huge problem. And again, only sharing speculations here. I'm never, you know,
Yeah.
because of
Yeah,
course
that's
I don't want to
it's
get any kind of trouble or anything like that. So I'm always just thoughts and opinions out here
yeah,
with full
yeah, not
disclosure.
financial advice,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Full disclosures. But
That's
that's the
crazy.
general.
That's crazy. I
Yeah.
never I guess I don't know. I've always I don't know. Okay, so COVID
Mhm,
was like a big like period of my time, like my life where I realized how, fucked everything is.
mhm. I feel
How
exactly the same.
yeah,
Like,
it kind of woke me up to how really rigged and like messed up
mhm,
our economy is. I didn't realize it was like that though. Like I
mhm,
always figured that it was. I guess I never really knew how the market worked,
mhm,
but I always figured that it was more of like these firms, these investment firms basically own everything. They have enough power to tell, like Robinhood or whatever, to just
mhm,
stop trading because they're losing money. Um, and I guess I never realized that it was all one being, I guess, that
mhm.
controls all trades everywhere. Like that's a little,
Essentially.
yeah, that's crazy that it
I
works like that.
Yeah, like at the highest level, yeah, and I think you are right, and in some sense that like some
Hmm.
firms probably have power over some firms just due to
Yeah.
influence, like common parties, things like that, where they could call them like, "Hey, you got to do something about this." But at the same time, like that overarching thing is like, well, we're all reporting to that same guy, or it all comes down to them. So what they're saying, we gotta. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what it all boiled down to, and it's just crazy because ever since then, what I think the whole like psyop is, and like you see
Hmm.
like constantly in the news, like right now you'll see right like meme stocks are on the move. It's meme season again, right? Like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
My thought is there's no meme stocks, right? If you look at any of the other names that are constantly associated with GameStop, if you look at how they performed since January 2021, they're all down like terrible. Like GameStop, yes, it's down, but you have tons of people that have been buying shares and they're DRSing them, which
Hmm.
is also withdrawing from the DTC like over time. So it's just kind of putting the pressure on any shorts that are out there. And my whole thought process is you heard like, oh, AMC is the next big play, Bed Bath and Beyond. You just constantly get people to keep getting into these plays. It's the next squeeze, the next big play, and just try
Hmm.
and get people like out of GameStop or just bored of it or just never, because if there is underlying risk, right? Like a lot of people still think truly there's tons of underlying short interest one way or another, whether it's not reported because like swap positions, it doesn't have to be reported in. I don't know if you heard about like Archegos when that blew up.
I'm
Um,
not sure.
no, all right. So I don't want to get to too many different topics at once, but basically, there's a lot of interesting ways the short interest cannot be reported. So if it were to like, I'm completely losing my train of thought now. Went to too many topics at once, but
That's all right.
basically, yeah, no. So basically, it's all underlying that the other companies are being pumped as like the next play, but it's all just like pump and dumps. That's really all I was
Yeah.
trying to say. Like I was just trying to say it in a sophisticated way, but it's all a lot of pump and dumps because
Hmm.
if there's underlying risk and everybody did truly rally into GameStop again, that could be like problem the DTC couldn't handle this time, theoretically. That's kind of what people think.
Yeah. Gotcha. Also, I just saw somebody in the comments say that BlackRock owns much of the media. Yeah, BlackRock
Yeah.
is. I like. I really. BlackRock is a scary organization. Like the amount
Mhm.
of influence and control that Larry Fink has in all of our lives is really. It's kind of terrifying. He honestly kind of
Mhm.
controls the world at this point. He. I mean, his influence with lobbying, and his influence in like every single company is insane. They control $30 trillion, which is really insane. Um, so yeah, that's
Yeah,
why you kind of never hear about them in the news.
that's a good point. Yeah, because it's like such a large firm and they own so many shares of everything. But you're right, there's never any news about them. And I think I just saw recently actually that they just increased their stake in Fox Media in some way like that. And
Hmm.
then there was someone was tying it like to some hit piece on GameStop then they put out or something like that. And I think that's
Yeah,
also why like GameStop has so much negative media too.
yeah,
Because it's just like these big firms, they just lobby all like you were kind of saying, they just buy out like all the different like media firms.
yeah. And I mean, yeah, there was a thing that was happening with like uh, uh, coal miners. I think were protesting them
Hmm.
because BlackRock was buying out a bunch of houses. I think real estate. I can't remember the exact, but this was a few years ago. And that kind of like got swept under the rug really quickly. Like people stopped talking about that really quickly. It was on the news for like
Hmm.
one day and then they stopped talking about it. But BlackRock is still doing that. They're buying
Hmm.
up tons of real estate, tons of properties just owned by them. Like you'll have somebody will be selling their house for
Hmm.
like $300,000 or something. BlackRock will come in and offer like 350,000 or like
I have heard
375.
about that a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
way over value, and you can't
Hmm.
say no to that because it's such a good deal. And then they'll just own the house, and they'll sit on it or they'll rent it out or something.
Hmm.
Like the majority of the real estate, a majority of the apartment buildings down in Miami, I think, are actually owned by
Hmm.
just one person.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if that's BlackRock related, but it's just a lot of that stuff where so much
Hmm.
real estate and property is being bought up by individuals,
Hmm.
or these like corporations or something. It's
It's yeah, it's like you have
scary.
to wonder like kind of what's their plan with it, or is it just to like just for control? Is it like beyond
Yeah.
that? Like, it's whatever it is, it's like why? Like it's just like
Hmm.
what's like I guess when you just get to a certain point with just so much money, they just think like we just have to keep doing what we do, but like it's just crazy because
Yeah.
they just keep getting bigger and bigger and
I
like the
mean,
more
yeah, like Bill Gates is now the largest
Mhm.
owner of farmland in the
Yes,
country.
I was gonna say that. Yeah,
What's the deal with that? That's kind of
yeah,
scary. He's kind of like the
yep.
World Economic Forum mouthpiece. Um,
Hmm.
it's kind of worrying what because they're trying to shut down all like the farming and stuff that's going on in like the Netherlands.
Hmm.
They're trying to get farmers to stop producing food. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they're all about like Beyond Meat, like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
do all that. It's like,
I don't know what exactly their end goal is, but just having one person control that much of our food
mhm.
supply is really scary.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then seeing like what's going on with like the chickens like not laying eggs, like
Oh
that's so
yeah,
weird. Like, why is that just happening? Like, and I heard there was like
yeah,
a certain type of feed that was like
yeah.
consistently like suddenly making them not like
Not produce
hatch eggs,
eggs.
and it's like,
Yeah,
why did that just start happening? Like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah. That's scary. It's very
yeah,
scary.
it's like you
Um,
can't help but scratch your head and wonder about these things. Like
all those food production plants that burned down last year, like
that too.
that was
Yeah.
also. I don't know if well, I see something like this. I don't know if it's
Mhm,
like my the way my brain works, just going back to like I never
mhm,
lived through the Cold War, but just like turning into like Cold War me. But like I don't know
mhm,
if it's some sort of like corporate espionage or like sabotage or something that's going on between East and West. Like every time I
mhm,
see like a new food plant has burned down or a refinery just exploded somewhere, like in China or in here,
mhm,
I'm like, are we doing this to each other, or is there something more? Is there something
mhm.
different going on? I don't know. It
Like, is
might
it?
be like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Like, you think it's like maybe just all narrative? Like it's all.
Well, either like I have like three different ideas, I guess. Like first is like China and the U.S. like destroying each other's infrastructure, like some sort of spy. I don't know, like because like we're
Mhm,
adversaries, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of like
mhm,
Cold War esque nonsense. And then
mhm,
like the other one is somebody's doing this for like a purpose, like um Bill Gates is really heavily invested in Beyond Meat, like you said,
mhm,
and he would make a large amount of money if suddenly meat became unavailable. So he's
mhm,
buying up a lot of the stuff and like putting quotas on something or like shutting down like production of meat so that Beyond Meat makes more money.
mhm.
Or it's I don't know, like coincidence or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely some nefarious like
Mhm.
beyond the like behind the scenes kind of stuff going on here
Yeah, I just feel
around
like
the world.
so much, like, especially as I've gotten older, I just realized like so much of the world is like just not what it seems, or like
Oh
there's
yeah.
just like I feel like I'm like a pawn, like we're all just pawns in like some
Mhm.
people's world, but we don't even know who they are exactly. Like some of them maybe we know, but like there's definitely
Yeah.
like people pulling strings that, like we just have no idea who they are, and they have like so much influence. Like just like boggles my
Yeah.
mind. It just puts me like in a
Yeah.
pretzel. Like it's crazy. Like.
Yeah, it's weird because it feels like yeah, we're we're part of a game that we don't even realize, you know?
Hmm.
Like all these huge things are going on that we've never even, huge things that we haven't even heard of that have
Hmm.
happened, between governments and intergovernmental agencies and like
Hmm.
NGOs and big firms and stuff. Like there are so many things happening that we just aren't aware of or aren't allowed to be aware of that
Hmm.
it's yeah, really, really worrying.
Yeah, no, it even makes me think like, I like there's probably, maybe the aliens already came. This is all just a distraction,
Yeah,
This is
dude,
all
right?
theater right now because they gotta hide the aliens. Like, I don't know. Like I feel like
Yeah.
anything's possible at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what happened with COVID. COVID kind of woke me up to that. Like, there's always a
Mhm,
distraction that's like happening right as something else is going on.
mhm,
Um, like, and Trump did that a lot during his presidency because he knew how to just
mhm,
play the media, I guess. Like, you'd always see him say something controversial on Twitter, and then
mhm.
some bill would get passed that like would allow fracking in the
That's a good
Arctic or
point. Yeah.
something. So it's
Mhm.
always like, but that stuff is happening all the time, and we don't even hear about it. Um,
I got you. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't
you
matter
know,
like who it is or like what it is. It's like to an extent it's happening, but it's hard to even say where it's happening or when it's happening because we're
yeah.
just not aware of it like that.
Hmm. I don't know. At some point we'll find out.
Mhm,
At some point, the powers that be will let us know. Um,
mhm.
yeah,
What we're
it's kind
meant
of
to know.
worrying, you
But
know.
yeah, it's like, when will we know? Like,
Hmm.
like, why aren't you telling us yet? Like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah, how free actually are we? You know.
yeah. No, I definitely consider like low key getting like dual citizenship. Also because I want to like travel a lot. It's kind of like a life goal of mine. So I thought
Hmm.
like, why not? Just kind of just I feel like it's just easy access to. Not necessarily like anything
Where
that
would you go?
particular. But I actually part Croatian, so I actually really
Oh,
want to
okay.
go over there because I actually have a family member who like owns land. And like low key, if I could build something one day, I mean that's like like way down the
Yeah,
line goal, but just to kind of go over there, like it looks really really nice. So just kind of
gotcha.
travel around Europe a little, maybe
Yeah,
check
yeah.
out Italy. It's also a little Italian, so.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I don't know. Personally, I don't know if there's anywhere better than the
Mhm,
US to be right now.
mhm.
I've just, a lot of stuff that's going on. I wouldn't want to be
Yeah.
in Europe because of the Russia situation, and
Yeah, no, definitely real close by, yeah.
wouldn't want to be in Australia or New Zealand because of the China situation.
Mhm,
So I don't know. I'm kind of just thinking about, moving out remote middle of nowhere, Wyoming, and
mhm.
just living off the land
Yeah, that's
till
that's
all
what I
this
think
blows
about,
over.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they're living off the land, like, that's kinda what I think about, and, like, I guess I just think about, like, Croatia because like, it's, like, my grandpa's land out there, so I'm like, "Oh, I can,
Oh
like, go
yeah,
build on and create, like, the family legacy." But, yeah, I definitely wouldn't, like I don't think I wanna live in Croatia, I don't really know anything about it like that. It'd be more so,
yeah, no,
like, nice to just go, like, anytime I wanted, and then, like, "Oh, well, everything's getting too chaotic, I'm just gonna go live off the land over there," but I don't know how it's like over there, but I know what you mean in terms of, like, just to get that escape, just to, like, be so
yeah,
because I feel like being free of, like, technology, like, if you just go on, like, a stretch where you just, like, don't go on your phone, like, I feel like just this past weekend, 'cause I was a little sick, I really tried to not, like for me, it sounds crazy, it's hard to not read about, like, GameStop and, like, stocks because otherwise,
yeah,
like, it's like my brain's just always going, like, I have to, like, force myself to just chill, like, just even doing that, I'm like, "Wow, I feel so much more, like, just
yeah,
relaxed," and it's like, that's not even a true disconnect, so I wonder, like, even just, like, a month of that, like, it seems like crazy.
yeah. That's the thing. Like, I have to. I feel like I have to be a part of society in order
Mhm.
to not be. Like, I got to get to a certain point where I can afford to not be a part of society.
Yeah, I hear you
Um,
on that.
but just with all this crazy stuff that's going on, like the desire to just distance myself from the chaos and wait
Mhm.
for it to blow over is really becoming appealing. Like,
Yeah.
I, yeah, I don't know, man. The crazier things get, the less I want to be involved.
Yeah,
It's
no,
kind
I
of
definitely
scary.
hear you on that because it's like you wanna I know what you mean, like, you wanna be, like, involved in technology and, like, keeping up with every trend and, like, be on top of things, so, like, for example, like, grow your platform, right, all that kinds of stuff,
Hmm.
but then sometimes it's nice to just, like, disconnect and be like, "Oh," but then as soon as you disconnect, you're off the game, because then there's a new thing, there's a piece of information you missed, there's this, there's that.
Yeah, yeah,
So, definitely, all part of the process though, that's kinda like what I've been enjoying most about, like, streaming and just getting started with this YouTube channel, just, like, all the process, like, I always kinda
yeah,
wanted to do, like, a business type of thing or, like, create my own kind of thing. I always had, like, passion for, like, entrepreneurship. And then,
yeah.
like,
I get
just
that.
really getting into, like, GameStop, I was like, "Alright," like, there's not that many people out here on YouTube talking about it, like, why don't I just, like, make videos? Like, I'll literally just start, like I used to start, like, just recording in my backyard, like, I would literally just stroll around my yard, like, talking, then I just started putting it up, like, on the fence, and then just over time, they move inside, and I kinda get the live stream going here and there, so I really just enjoy, like, the process.
Yeah, and that's yeah. I get that a lot. Like, I got to keep something going. Like, cause I stream
Mhm,
on Twitch.
mhm.
So like
I
I've been
should
doing
check
that
it out.
for, yeah, right there. That's my Twitch name. Not
Oh,
Nathan from
yeah, I gotta
Florida, but like, oh, there we
yeah,
go, over here.
there we go.
Isolation streams on Twitch. And yeah, I mean, like, I get that a lot. It's really fun to do, like, the process,
Mhm,
to have something to build and that's not taking up a huge portion of your time. Um,
mhm.
it's fun to dedicate a little bit of your free time to that. It's a nice hobby for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree where, like, it's more, like, fun where it's, like, a hobby, and, like, for me, like, I wanna, like, take it to that business level to an extent,
Hmm.
but I wanna keep it where it's, like, it's still enjoyable, where it's not like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I gotta do this," or, "Oh, it's like this and that." Because I definitely hear you on that where it's, like, the enjoyment in it, like enjoying what you do. So I feel like if I like push too hard, it's like it's not even enjoyable. Then it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, you gotta
Hmm.
keep it in moderation. And I mean, if you get to that point where it's a business and you enjoy what you do, then it's
Hmm.
perfect. But you don't want your hobby to become a chore.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, because then it's like, who the fuck likes chores? Like it's
yeah,
just like, damn.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
tell us more, like, or tell me more about like isolation streams. Like, what do you kind of? I know you said
Y-
you've been streaming for a little bit. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, a lot of people have actually asked me what that flag back there is.
hmm.
That's the flag of my
Hmm.
community on Twitch. The Isolation Republic
Nice.
is what it's called. So a lot of people did ask me because I did wave that in
Mhm.
the background. I thought that was like the coolest thing too because I waved that flag in the background of the Mad Money
Mhm.
thing. Um,
Gotcha.
and I thought like that was so cool. And then I woke up and I'm like, now I'm famous on
Like
something
now
like
my
for a
mark
different
is out
reason.
there.
Yeah, right. So yeah, so I've been streaming for about 6 years now. 2017 to 6 years, I think.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's don't usually talk about politics or anything like that. Or economics not really been the central focus of
Mhm.
my stream. Just games and chatting and stuff.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Gotcha.
pretty chill. I stream on weekends at 6 p.m. Eastern
Mhm.
Standard, Friday, Saturday,
Nice.
Sunday. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Guess should all check it out.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate you
But yeah,
giving me the
that's
opportunity to shout myself out.
yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, that's a sorry. I kind of meant to say a little sooner, but I just like, oh
No,
shit, wait a
that's all
minute.
right.
There's his name. Let me do it. But like I said, like I'm literally winging this all as I go. Like I'm really
Mhm.
glad. Like I found you who like you said it's like your first time like doing an interview and like it's my first
Yeah,
time interviewing someone. Like,
yeah.
oh,
This is a
shout
cool
out to
experience.
Morantz. I would
Yeah.
say yeah, shout out to Morantz. He's here. He's in the chat. He
Oh,
actually
hey.
interviewed me for the first time. Or like he put me on a lot and he's taught me a lot about like YouTube. So he's a really good guy. You should check him out. He also talks a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
about GameStop.
Oh, that's cool. Well, hello. Hi. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's cool. This is my first time doing this. So,
Mhm,
yeah, I'm glad that I was able to be your first person interviewed,
mhm.
your first guest. Hope to be back on. Maybe invite me back on anytime you
Yeah,
want.
that's what I was
Nice.
saying. Yeah, I don't know if we could definitely do something again, or like I'll pull up on your stream. Like I don't know, like
Yeah,
what kind of games
yeah.
do you play? Or
Yeah, I mainly play okay, so I've been doing chess recently. It's kind of
mhm,
weird. I went to TwitchCon last year
mhm.
and I I participated in this want to fight for 10,000. Yo, wait. Okay,
I
bet boxing event? My first ever boxing event? Hell yeah.
damn first guest stream and now your first boxing event back to back.
Oh, dude,
Damn,
this is
I
a
think
great
he's. I think
opportunity.
I think Morantz is saying that because like there's this like I was talking about before how like AMC and like all these other stocks trying to be like the next GameStop, but it's all like
Yeah.
BS. And like the whole thing is they're like selling their like the insiders actually sell their shares. GameStop insiders like haven't sold any. So there's
Mhm.
this one guy like talking about AMC, and like I just saw it before, and then he was saying like before to Morantz, like, "Oh, I'm gonna kick your ass." And Morantz is like, "All right, bet, come fight me for 10K."
Oh, that's funny.
Morantz, you're gonna
Um,
kick his ass, man. Already.
what? Hey,
No,
hey,
no, no,
hey! Come
oh, not
on,
you. My bad. I meant the other dude. Apes. Nah, what's no the AMC guy. My bad.
dude! Come on,
You're
man!
like, damn, he's just remembering the
I'm getting
line.
killed out here. I'm getting
No, that's
grilled.
not what I meant. Yeah, see, that's also something I'm still working on balancing, like talking in the chat and like talking on the stream. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
sometimes I'm like forget to remember who I'm replying to. Like,
No, that's all good.
but
Um,
yeah, Ants. That's the guy's name. Ants streams or something. He's like talking up AMC and all that.
oh, I'm good in
There
your
you go.
book. Okay, cool,
There
cool.
you
There we
go.
go.
We're all good.
So I'm
We're all
not gonna
squared
get
away here.
killed.
Everyone's good.
Yeah, nice, nice. Okay, so there's like some beef going on inside the finance community, I guess.
Oh yeah, big time. Like for a long time, like if you check out Rantz's channel, like he'd be posting like it really is one of the first people to open my eyes to it that AMC is just like honestly like I like the theater and like I like going to the movies, but like they just operate like so poorly and like all the insiders have sold shares. And if you go on his Twitter, like Adam Aaron, CEO Adam is his like he's always like
Hmm.
talking up the company and like, oh, I love everyone supporting the company, this and that, but like he's selling his shares. They're just issuing shares into the market. They don't make profits. Like they talk it up like it's a good investment, but like the company's doing nothing to like actually
Yeah.
like have profit. And they used to say like, "Oh, AMC's naked shorted, AMC's naked shorted, fight the shorts." Like I'm sure you've seen now too, like fight the naked shorts, like all these like
Yeah.
random like things. But it's like the best way to fight any shorts is just succeed as a company. And like GameStop's doing like a lot of evolving and like they cut down like a lot of their unprofitable activities, like unprofitable stores. So it's like still a process, but overall it's like a completely different scenario than like AMC.
Yeah, I remember back in like February of 2021 after the whole GameStop fiasco, it was like now AMC, go
Mhm,
invest at AMC. And I kind of stopped following it once AMC
mhm,
came into the I just figured, oh, it's the same thing as GameStop.
mhm,
Um, but I guess I never really looked into it.
mhm.
But
Yeah, I
yeah.
personally kind of feel like that was like by design. You know, they thought, "Oh, what a great way. You know, if everyone's
Hmm.
going to keep buying GameStop and there's all this underlying short interest, why not like divide and conquer? Just be like, oh, another great squeeze, another big play, another shorted
Yeah.
stock. You know, then like I don't know if you saw like any of the streamers that were talking about it. There was like guys like Trey's Trades and like Matt Kors, all these different guys that came on the scene.
Yeah.
And basically none of them talk about AMC anymore. They like basically grifted off of like the whole thing
Yeah.
and just talked about AMC, AMC, AMC. And then a lot of like OnlyFan girls too were like, "Oh, AMC stock, yeah, we're all
Yeah.
holding." But it was
Yeah.
all like all these people were just grifting on it, including the CEO himself to just dilute the shares and like just burn the shareholders, like basically using them to stay afloat and like compensate themselves. Like GameStop's like board now and executives are mostly compensated in shares. So like if the company succeeds, like their interests are aligned. AMC,
Hmm.
like they sell their shares and they just get compensated in salary. So they're like, yeah, whatever. We'll run the company to the
Yeah.
ground.
So I have a question. So
Yeah.
you're obviously like well versed in the GameStop,
Mhm.
um, but go Hawks! Oh hell yeah,
Yeah.
go Hawks! Um, I'm a Seahawks fan.
Oh, nice.
Um,
I'm a Steelers fan, so you had a better year than
oh,
us.
I'm sorry
Marantz,
that
I'm
you're a
surprised though.
Steelers fan.
Yeah, Marantz is a Cowboys fan though. I don't know what he's saying. Go Hawks.
Cowboys fan. Come on. Um, but yeah. So, my question is, what do you think about this whole stuff? Because I've been seeing a lot of people talk about like GameStop is like about to go under, like all their
Mhm,
stores are closing and stuff. I personally, I haven't, I'm not very well versed
mhm,
in the situation. Like, how do you think that's actually going? Because that's the narrative that's
mhm.
being pushed.
Yeah, so it's definitely the narrative being pushed, and it's really like far from the case. Because what happened was in January 2021, everything exploded, and over time, the price was still fairly elevated. In that short period of time, like afterwards, it's still in the 2 to 300 range. And before they did like the stock split, they basically did like a issuance of some shares, right? But like a small issuance, enough to pay off their debt and like just fire up their balance sheet. So they have no debt, like 1 billion in cash, and basically they are just operating better. They close their unprofitable stores and they're trying to use the whole Web3 thing. It's like to be their next growth engine. And essentially, like they just push this narrative now, like, oh, the company's gonna go under. But since they've paid off all their debt, it's literally like no way. Like, yes, they're still not completely net profitable yet, but part of it too is like just still them adjusting. Like they had to do like a lot of corporate hires and then layoffs. And then they had two distribution centers open, more focused on e-commerce, like things like that.
Okay, nice. Yeah, because I'm not very well versed when it
Mhm,
comes to GameStop's like financial situation. But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I'm glad to hear that they're doing good now.
mhm.
They're on the track to profitability. It seems.
Yeah, and as I see Morant's compliment the chat here, GameStop isn't going anywhere. And also, thanks for the
Yeah.
compliment before. The best looking guys on
Oh
YouTube.
yeah, I didn't even see that. Hell
I
yeah,
just
I'll
saw
take
that
it.
too.
I'll take
Thank
it.
you. Morantz, I don't know. I mean, all right, if you say so. Oh, and D3W, here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Let's go. Kenny Pickett. He's going to come back this year. Hi,
You
friends.
know,
Oh,
it's
go
nice
ahead.
that you have faith in the Steelers.
Yeah. Yeah,
You're
I
one of
do.
few.
My dad's a mega Steelers fan, so my dad says
Gotcha.
though, he says they have to get rid of Tomlin, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Like,
I don't know. Maybe change is good. We got rid of Russell
Yeah,
Wilson, and we're actually doing better without him. So
yeah. That's still
maybe,
the craziest thing
yeah,
ever. Like
dude.
you guys absolutely finessed. Like I
Yeah,
didn't even say that before. Like
yeah. Gino he's the man. He is
yeah,
the man.
he's
Dude,
got a
I
little
have,
swagger.
yeah, I have a signed Russell Wilson jersey, and it's like now worth nothing. Like, dude, should have
Yeah,
sold
it's
it.
completely depleted in value. Yeah, damn.
Yeah,
Tom Brady to the Cowboys.
bro. Tom Brady to the retirement home. Come on.
Yeah. Tom was not going anywhere. Yeah, I don't think so either, honestly. I think Tom would personally, I think he should stay. I think he's the guy. Because it's like, I don't know, he just connects with the players, I feel like pretty good.
Mhm.
But then and Griffin are both Kennys are trash. Kenny Pickett and Griffin, both Kennys are trash. Because like Ken Griffin like said it all. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I see. I quit the Cowboys. They quit me.
Yeah.
Yeah. When have the Cowboys, like, when was the last time the Cowboys did good? Like, I feel like they've always
Mhm.
just been the most middle of the line mediocre team, at least as
Yeah.
long as I can remember.
Yeah, like Roma was always like just like he could make the playoffs, but it was like they were never gonna go anywhere, like I feel like I remember
Yeah.
that too. But
Yeah. Prescott's kind of like mid.
yeah,
I don't know.
I think he's definitely
2016.
mid.
2016, they went 13-3. Yeah, but like, bro, did they make the Super Bowl?
True. But yeah, no, I mean,
2014? Nah.
yeah, the Dez. Yeah, yo, Morant's Dez liked my tweet the other day. I actually replied to his like because he tweets about Web3. He's actually really into it. So I was like, oh, you
Yeah.
should check out GameStop or something like that. And he actually liked my reply. I was like, all right, Des McBride
Nice.
out here liking a reply.
That's funny.
Hey, appreciate you, Morant.
2014 was the best year in football because
Mhm.
Seahawks destroyed the Broncos like 48-3 or something. I forgot,
Yeah,
48-3, I think. I
that was the
watched it, dude.
that was like the
That was the best.
lamest game to watch though. Like as a
It
fan of
was,
just football, it was like,
dude,
bro,
that
like this
was
game's already
awesome as a
over.
Seahawks fan. I was just having the night of my life, dude. That was the last
You're
time I
just
enjoyed
chilling.
watching a Seahawks game.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I remember just thinking, like on the first play, like was it like the first play from scrimmage? Literally snapped it over his
Yeah,
head. I was like, what the fuck is
yeah, they
this?
got
Like
a safety on the first play. That shit was
it's
fire.
crazy.
I
Imagine someone
remember
like
that.
betting that, like plus like gazillion, like
Yeah,
safety
that's
first
just,
play from scrimmage.
it's wild, dude. I can't believe that was almost 10 years ago. My
Yeah.
God.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy. Like I remember just being at like my friend's house with like, or it was like like my friend, but like my parents were also friends with his parents. It was like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Still, like, damn, I was like in high school. No, it's still in middle school, probably. Crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Do I
Yeah.
own GME shares? I talked about this earlier, but I don't have money to invest. I've never really had money to invest. So I've been following everything, but I haven't ever really been able to invest. I kind of just have to
Mm.
pay rent in for my university. But yeah, once I start like really making a consistent paycheck, then you better believe I'm going to DRS because that's the way to do it.
Attaboy.
You have
Nice.
$10. I do. I have to like open an account.
Mhm.
Um
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
chat's definitely gonna be convincing you out here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. $10 a day. All
Uh,
right, look. Don't eat. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna starve myself
the
for
college lifestyle.
$10. Yeah. I mean, you can sell plasma. Wow, you guys are really pushing me on this.
You're gonna have people
Oh
like
god.
on your like regular streams now, like save for
Yeah,
GameStop, GameStop, GameStop.
yeah, yeah. I will invest in GameStop. Don't worry.
Nice. Yeah, no,
Um,
it's definitely worth reading into. I mean, more and more.
yeah, for sure.
Absolutely think so. Hook up with a lot of lizards.
Turn off those neon lights for a day. I mean, that is true. I do pay a lot for my electricity bill. But electricity is expensive anyway.
Yeah, I don't think the lights will do the only difference, but
Yeah. Sell your
sell your
blood, sell
blood.
your expensive mic. Look, all right. I'm gonna invest. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Everyone's gonna be like, yo, sell your blanket, sell your brand,
So
like
yeah,
sell your
sell my
stream.
brand, sell my body. I'll sell my body for GameStop shares. All right.
Hey, whatever it takes, right? I mean,
Yeah, man, sure. I don't want you to
but
miss out. I will not miss out. Trust me, I will not miss out. I will keep you guys updated on my portfolio. All right.
awesome. Crown King is a
We're
word.
not a word. All right. I want to specify this is not financial advice, right? We got to
No,
say
never
that.
financial advice here.
Yeah.
Only thoughts and
Sell your kidney.
opinions.
You have another one. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. I'm Wendy still has dumpsters. Yeah. That'll be my meal plan.
Yeah, it's always funny. What's that guy's name? You ever see him on Instagram? He's like, you could get like unlimited meat from Panda Express if you just ask for like a triple. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about? Like, I just think to
Yeah.
myself, who the fuck would want to eat like that? Like,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
get it for like if you're trying to really, really bulk, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, we could eat Panda Express like triple, quadra, like
Yeah. No, I get that for sure.
brands.
I mean,
You
I
know.
like when you're trying to hit your calorie intake and your
Mhm,
protein intake and you're like out of time, then I can 100% understand, just going to
mhm.
Panda Express and eating like 12,000 calories, you know?
Yeah.
But
No, that makes sense, but I feel like I wouldn't just, like, be like, "Alright, Imma just go do that because like, it's
yeah,
affordable."
I
Like
would not do that normally for sure.
yeah.
There's
But,
always roadkill. You guys give great ideas.
dude,
Yeah.
yeah, this is, definitely an inspired chat right here, trying to inspire you to buy. Can't stop, won't
Yeah.
stop. Let's go
I
GameStop.
appreciate I appreciate the not financial advice.
Yeah.
Um because that's not you guys come on we don't give financial advice here, but I appreciate your guys' opinions on what you guys are
Exactly.
investing in.
All thoughts and opinions, yeah. It's kinda
Yeah.
funny, like, how on, like, the channel I always say, like, "Oh, yeah, like, thoughts and opinions," or, like, "No financial advice." But even, like, at my job, like, what I do is basically, actually, like, transfers, so, like, that's kind of how I understand this whole, like, ACAT thing,
Hmm.
but we're actually, like, what's called a non-ACAT custodian because we only do, like, private assets, so I mostly do cash transfers or, like, private asset transfers, but I'll be, like, saying or like when I have to talk to clients because like I also do like some just regular customer service. It's like part of my job, like part of the day. But I have to say like we're a passive custodian. We can't give any financial advice. So I just think it's funny,
Hmm.
even like at my job and on my channel, like I always say like no advice, no advice. Like
Yeah.
don't sue me. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like but it's funny at my
I f-
job, like when I started, they're like, no, you should say that. I'm like, oh, and they're like, little did they know, I already say this. Like,
yeah. You have experience.
yeah.
Walk to work, Costco samples and use free Wi-Fi. Bam! Now you can afford GME shares. I yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. You guys raise very, very solid points. I could live frugally and use that excess savings to afford GameStop shares. You're absolutely correct. Um, I do
You
have a
know,
roommate though, so I do have to still pay for internet and
mhm.
electricity, so can't
I
quite go
can't just
full
cut it all
frugal.
out.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
I
Go
think it's
ahead.
pretty oh, you're good. I think it's, pretty funny though, like, why a lot of people are saying this is, like I feel like for me, it definitely applied too, like, part of, like, a lot of people wanting to invest in GameStop, a lot of people started realizing, like, "Oh, I really wanna buy into this, I really believe in, like, the company, the long term, and, like, everything that's going on underlying." So I feel like a lot of people are like, "Holy shit, like, I have to find a way to save money, like, I gotta sell my plasma, I gotta do this, I gotta do that."
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a lot of people are like maybe not, like, these extremes, right? But are, like, figured out in ways, like, how can I budget myself, like and I feel like for me, I'm like, it was a reason to, like, budget myself, whereas, like, that's something I should kinda do anyway, but when you find something, like, you wanna allocate money to, then it's like, "Ah, like, I better, like, be a little more, like, I don't need to buy lunch every day," kind of stuff like that. Like, I feel like a lot of people kinda had, like, that revelation from GameStop, like,
Yeah.
"Hey, maybe I should have better financial habits because then I can invest." And I feel like a lot of the people in GameStop too aren't, like your traditional investors, like they've invested a long time. Like a lot of people have come just kinda just hearing about it or somebody told them or just kinda learned, I guess, about investing from GameStop, which to me is kinda one of the coolest things about like the whole saga.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody asked what I do for a living. I'm not getting into specifics. I feel like I've already given out enough of my personal information.
No, you're good.
Um, but I work in marketing. Um,
Nice.
but it's not necessarily a consistent paycheck. Because
Mhm,
I focus all of my time on school.
mhm.
So I don't really have a lot of
Gotcha.
time to work, but I work in marketing. So I do get paychecks when I'm working.
Mhm.
And most of the time, that money just goes right into paying rent, because rent down here is incredibly expensive.
Hmm.
Um, like it's insane. I'm paying up near about 4 grand for, 4 grand a month for a 2 bedroom. So
Hmm.
between me and my roommate, I've talked about that on my stream. So that's like about 2 grand a month that I have to pay
Hmm.
for rent, which is
That's
really,
pretty. Yeah.
really fucking
Mhm.
insane. So yeah, it's a huge amount of money that I have to pay for that. So yeah,
Mhm.
when I do get paid, it usually goes to that, but I will set aside a portion of my
Mhm.
paycheck to invest in GameStop. Now that I know um their actual situation. Now that I know your opinion
Yeah.
on their situation, I should say.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, but I always
Yeah.
say too, definitely always, research it too, and I'm sure you will in your own
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
just kind of reading into it. And the best thing to do, I would say, is like just go on Superstock and go like top post of all time, and that'll kind of give you like some of the biggest events, like kind of things that have happened in regards to it, and kind of send you down the rabbit hole. I feel like,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
but but
No, I
yeah,
will
no,
definitely be looking at that in the future.
yeah. No, but yeah, definitely, just go at your own pace, man. I feel like it's all about like just figuring things out, and it's all about the
Yeah.
journey. And like I said, for me, it's just taught like I've always like researched stocks and stuff like that and been interested in them, but I feel like I never
Mhm.
really understood like investing and like being in something like I truly believe in until I got into GameStop. And that's what's kind of taught me so much about it. And like I think in the future, when I invest in other stocks, like something I'm always gonna look for is like companies that like have ownership that has shares, like they have vested interest in the success of the company, or if they're being compensated in shares, because I really feel like that's like such an impactful thing. And like that's kind of what keeps me with GameStop, or so many individuals, like you'll hear talk about like Ryan Cohen, like the guy, like, oh, Ryan Cohen is Ryan Cohen this, Ryan Cohen that, because like he bought in, he became like chairman of the board, and essentially like he brought on like, I don't know if you know, he actually is the guy that started Chewy. So like that's kind of like his claim to fame.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
And basically this guy Larry Chang was like the first ever investor from the company's called Volition Capital. So this guy Larry Chang invested in Chewy, and they literally went through like hundreds of people. Like they were trying so hard to get an investor. Finally, this guy Larry Chang was like, "I believe in you. I'm going to invest in it." And he was like the first investor, and he made a ton. And then basically him and a couple other guys from OG Chewy are now on GameStop's like board of directors. So they're all kind of like it seems like they probably are like boys from like a long time ago, and now they're like,
Yeah.
let's go take on this whole GameStop thing. Let's go do something great here. And they're all being
Yeah.
paid in shares and owning shares. So it's kind of just fun to watch that like these guys are like taking what they made in Chewy and putting it there essentially.
It's kinda like GameStop became a startup, you know?
Kind of,
That's the
yeah.
kind of vibe I'm getting. They had, like,
Yeah,
a fresh start.
exactly. With the whole like Web3 thing, like that's just like an aspect of what they're doing, but what they're really doing too is like restructuring their underlying business. Like for a long time, they didn't have like good retail technology, like they kept unprofitable stores open. And what a lot of people think as to why that was is like because when Ryan Cohen came in, he wiped the old board of directors out completely. But it seemed like it was kind of corrupt because these old board of directors, right? They would be compensated a lot in terms of just salary, and they had like a private company jet. So it's like obviously that's like taking a ton off the top line for GameStop, like on
Yeah.
fixed costs. So basically, all these like executives were being paid out tons in salary. They have a private jet, so they don't care, right? So people think they were planted there or purposely run the company into the ground, right? Because they don't care. They're being paid the whole way. So they can run the company into the ground, let the short sellers just immensely profit. And if you short a company to zero, you actually don't even have to buy to close it because then it's like, wait a minute, the company's essentially like valueless. And now they can kind of use that equity, like there's like a whole like research thing someone
Yeah.
wrote on like Superstock about this called like the seller boxing, if you want to look into it. But
Mhm.
basically they could short a company to like a fraction of a penny, and then they could just use like that liquidity for forever as like a market maker, or theoretically. But then even beyond that, I think of it like you see this happening with like a lot of retail names right now. If all these companies, just get attacked, or you attack companies like GameStop, I think GameStop, they got caught with their pants down, where it's like too much in one spot. Whereas like you just drive all these companies out of business. The same companies shorting like GameStop and these other stocks are super long on Amazon. So Amazon
Mhm.
gains from their fall. So and then these companies are investing in Amazon, shorting these other companies, so they're making money both ways. And then on top of it, more influence, because like
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
buys from Amazon, and then it's so like to me like that everything is kind of that's where all my tinfoil hat comes from now these days. I
Well, no,
feel
I
like.
mean, I get that a lot because I feel like that's what a lot of I feel like Bezos, especially like that whole
Mhm,
Amazon conglomerate is like big into that, where they're like people are investing in them and shorting their competitors big time
mhm,
because Amazon has the power to put their competitors out of business using unethical means. Like what
mhm,
happened in Washington State was, and was actually trying to happen like global or countrywide, nationally, was that they're lobbying. Amazon was lobbying for $15 an hour minimum wage because they knew
mhm,
that like national minimum wage because they knew that Walmart and Target couldn't afford to pay that to all their
mm,
employees. So they were figuring that if they could get this pushed through, then that's like a big hit to all of their
gotcha.
competitors, and they gain a lot of money out of that, a lot of market power for
Mhm,
sure. So they're doing stuff like that that we don't even hear
mhm.
about and we don't even
I see what you're
question.
saying. It's
Like
kind of
every
just
time
like.
yeah,
Mhm,
every time you hear some rich and powerful person say, "We can afford to pay our employees this insanely high minimum wage," it's because they know that they can't that their competitors can't. So
gotcha.
there's always a secret motive behind those kind of like, you
Mhm,
know, moves for humanity where it's really not, you know?
mhm. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because it's like you don't really know who's actually genuine in any way. Like, of course, there's some people's genuine in some ways, but I know what you're saying. Like, generally, it's like there's always like maybe they even do want to have some good in what they're saying or trying to be good in some way, but behind it, there's still a reason. Like, there's still like a
Mhm.
motive. Like
Well,
a
they're profit driven 100%. They wouldn't do something
exactly,
that's
yeah,
not profitable.
yeah, exactly, and that's I feel like definitely something you see more and more like over time now too. It's like makes profit, like keep the
Yeah.
story, like no matter what it takes. Like it's kind of scary.
Yep. Yep. I mean,
But
that's what ESG is.
mhm,
It's and that's like all these companies, that these huge, like like Chase Bank or whatever these companies that are going full ESG, like talking about eliminating carbon emissions or
mhm,
whatever other social thing is popular. They're not doing it because they actually care. They're doing it because if they get a high enough ESG rating, that means they get more money from BlackRock, which controls the largest amount of money out of any company in the entire world. So it's like
mhm,
that's the motive behind the ESG and like the social movement to, do whatever's currently popular is
mhm.
because they get money from that. What BlackRock's
Interesting.
motive for having ESG, I have no idea, but
Mhm,
these other companies are doing it specifically because they make more money than
mhm,
otherwise. If it was the other way around, if it was like, denying climate change or, being,
mhm,
whatever, anything else, like the inverse of ESG, they'd be
mhm.
doing it because they make more money. It's
I
really
see what
just
you're
about
saying.
how
Mhm,
much money they get. It's profit
mhm.
driven, 100%.
Yeah, that's really interesting about the ESG. Like I kind of always heard of it, but like I didn't really like fully understand it. But that makes sense where like they kind of make it like it's almost like business social credit. It's kind of
Yeah,
sort of like in a way
yeah,
where it's like,
really.
oh, you don't have a good ESG score, like we can't invest in you, like
Yeah, big
kind of
time.
thing.
Because it's like if this one firm doesn't have a good ESG score, then BlackRock and Vanguard and all of their subsidiaries won't invest,
Mhm,
and companies that are like independent of them won't invest because they in the
mhm,
future won't be able to work with BlackRock because if they invest in a company that has a low ESG score, theirs
mhm,
goes down and they can't work with other companies. It's a big like self-fulfilling prophecy.
mhm. Yeah, no,
And
it's
then
very very
yeah,
bizarre.
until BlackRock goes under, that's how it's going to be. It's probably going to get
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah, the thing is, it's crazy too. BlackRock is literally like one of the largest owners of GameStop in terms of
Really.
shares, but like everything else. And yeah, I think it's really just to lend them out to short sellers because to short a stock, you need to like borrow it from somewhere. And the whole idea is that like
Hmm.
there's not actually as many borrows. So recently too, like institutional ownership just went up for GameStop. And I think it's just to like lend out more shares or just to have like more locates for the lens. Like I don't think BlackRock's actually like in favor of GameStop going up. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like I think
they make money both ways.
Mhm.
That's the thing.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
That's the thing. That might be another reason. Put your tinfoil hat on for a
Mhm.
second. Like BlackRock loves the infighting because they make money both ways.
Exactly.
They
Absolutely.
profit.
Yeah. Because they're
Everybody,
just flowing out the shares. Yeah.
yeah, they win regardless. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another thing to think about.
Yeah. And then they're what's it called? Shit. What was I gonna say? They're I don't know. I completely forgot.
All good.
But
Yeah.
I think I saw Q4 like in the chat, and then that maybe mixed me up with something else.
Yeah.
But it was it Activision Blizzard Q4 bets earnings? Good sign for GME Q4 potentially. We'll have to see. I mean, it's hard to say because the whole
Yeah.
thing with GameStop too is they won't like put out a prediction of what their earnings are going to be because anything they like say, just gets twisted, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like their whole like mentality since this guy Ryan Code took over was we're just gonna like work and just like watch the results. Like we're not gonna like put out like, oh, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that. Like we'll just kind of like, here's the product. Or like when they launched like the NFT marketplace, it wasn't like, oh, it's coming on this day. It was just like it's here. So everything's just kind of like about like execution with them. So
Yeah.
I feel
Not
like
a lot of room for
Mhm.
not a lot of room for prediction there.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And they kind of I feel like go about that, like things in that way, because they know like anything they say will be just spun in like a negative light one way or another. So they're better off just like also knowing that like there's tons of people like me out here now that just love the company and will watch like every little move. Like I watch every earnings call, like everything they put out, like I'm gonna know about it, or someone's like, yo, did you see this? So it's like so many eyeballs are on it that they don't even like need to like put out a prediction in a way. So it's kind of always just like an exciting thing, like, oh, earnings are here, like what do we got? Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
pretty cool.
that's really good. It's good that they don't have a lot of speculation there. Not a lot of room for speculation because
Mhm.
things could go pretty bad. Don't
Yeah,
telegraph
it's
their plans to their
mhm.
competitors. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that
that
too.
too. Exactly. Yeah. And I think, if short sellers could, figure out whatever they're going to try and do next, they would invest in like the opposite company that's like going to compete with them, kind of like how we were saying before, where it's like there's always like a vested interest. So I think that is part of it too, where it's like they don't want to telegraph their plans to like the whole public.
Hmm.
But
Um, is that for 3.5 billion for
in
Activision?
revenue, I'm thinking, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe
I
that's
don't know.
GameStop's like the analysts will make expectations for like what they think GameStop will be, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
just think it's like it's the same people as like,
Hmm.
but definitely I'm gonna like I'm not like for chat, so they're aware. Like I definitely think GameStop earnings
Yeah.
are important. I'm not trying to dismiss that like they're not like important or anything like that. I'm just more
Hmm.
so the point like I don't predict on them too much. I just like when it comes, like I'm like, all right, here's what it is, here's what we see. And the also exciting thing about earnings is they always put the DRS count. They like actually tell you how many shares are registered to DRS. And as of
Oh,
last quarterly earnings, it's actually 25% of shares outstanding, which is like an incredible number. And
yeah.
you have to think that probably only went up quarter over quarter. And then that guy Ryan Cohen alone owns 11%. Other insiders own 4%. So all of a sudden, if DRS went up another like 5%, you're looking at like 45% of shares outstanding just amongst insiders and DRS shares. Doesn't even include like shares in brokerages,
Yeah.
institutions that actually are long, which seems like almost none of them at this point. Like they all just loan out shares. So pretty much like majority of the stock is just owned by individuals, and individuals just keep buying it up. So like any little bit that's out there, it just seems to kind of keep going into the hands of DRS. And
That's really
see,
good.
yeah, and it seems like DRS is like the game changer because it seems like, right, again, just speculation, no financial advice, that
Yeah.
shares can just endlessly be issued into the market because they're all in the name of Seed and Co. And until like enough shares are withdrawn from the name of Seed and Co, it won't be noticeable, and you could just kind of keep doing the same practices because it's like who's really checking.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
just kind of what it seems like.
100%.
But Ryan Sung, thank you for being here. What up?
Yeah. Welcome in.
But
Our tinfoil hat discussions about the
yes,
U.S. economy.
yes, and Seed and Co. and crypto. And
Yeah.
what do you think is going to happen with crypto next? Or like, where's your head at with crypto right now? Or
Well, I've actually been seeing, not financial advice again, but I've been watching the price of Litecoin,
hmm
and because I own a Litecoin, right? I own like one.
hmm
Um,
just letting it ride.
yeah, and it's been, I mean, over the last 6 months, it's gone up a substantial amount. It's gone up like $33, which
Oh,
is
nice.
it's pretty good. That's like, I don't know, it's like 56% of its
hmm
value. Like, I mean,
Oh,
that is
damn.
pretty crazy because it took a huge dip. Everything took a huge dip about
hmm
2 years ago, or about a little over a year ago, like a year and
hmm
3 months. Um, and it was like, that's when I bought, right? So like I
hmm
bought right before the crash, which sucked. But
hmm
things are going way back up. So I feel like crypto's gonna have a return
hmm
pretty soon. Not financial advice again,
hmm
but my opinion on crypto is that I think we're gonna see a bounce back pretty shortly.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like. Oh, you're gonna say something else? My bad.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
Okay, no, yeah, you're good. So I was gonna say, like, I feel like going into like the Bitcoin halving, to me, that seems to be like the most like historical, like bit bullish indicator for crypto. And I really feel like that will kind of kick off the next bull run because I think that's supposed to happen like early 2024. And it seems like
Mhm.
it kind of makes sense for like crypto's been in its bear market where it seems like the end of this year it'd kind of be like where it starts to get a little bit like hot again. Maybe not hot, but like kind of heating up where like I kind of
Yeah.
envision it like where like
Yeah.
this year's kind of a lot of up and down, but like we've kind of seen the bottom with like FTX
Oh, yeah, for
generally.
sure.
So
Yeah,
like
I mean,
mhm,
that's like, oh, yeah, actually, there's another thing.
mhm,
Um, Binance, right? Like that,
mhm.
have you seen what's going on with that? They they did
Not
something.
recently.
I just saw something on Twitter. I'm gonna see if I
Mhm.
can pull it up.
Yeah, go for it.
But there was some signs that what was happening with them, like, I think they suspended convertibility
Mhm,
from like into USDC.
mhm.
And like that's kind of like what FTX did right before they collapsed.
Huh, interesting.
And that that's yeah, it's
Very
temporarily
alarming.
suspending deposits and withdrawals of US dollars using bank accounts.
Huh.
That happened 7 hours ago.
Oh, wow,
Um
that's very recent then, yeah.
yeah, and I saw that, and I like very quickly I was like literally class was like about to start, and I was like, "Oh
Mhm,
shit." And then I kind of forgot about it. But yeah,
mhm,
so that's kind of like a little
mhm,
scary that we might be seeing another. I just remembered that. So ignore what I said before, but
mhm.
this
No,
might
you're
this might lead to actually something even worse. If like Binance
mhm.
goes under,
That's true.
then
That's true, yeah,
le-
it will
we
be
might
more of a bottom.
we might see something worse than like November 2021.
Yeah,
Again, not financial advice, but that's a little scary when you see an exchange shut down deposits and
yeah.
withdrawals.
I've always
That's a
kind of
little
been
worrying.
suspicious of, like, Binance because I just remember, like, they were banned from, like, the US, like, then they had to recreate, like, to Binance.us because like, regular Binance, like, got
Mhm.
banned for, like, shady practices, so they basically just, like, rebooted under, like, a different, like, technical name, and that always kinda
Yeah.
made me skeptical from about them, like and that guy, I forgot his
CZ.
yeah, CZ, like, he always, like
CZ, he seems really sketchy.
yeah, I agree, he plays the hero and, like, "Oh, yeah, Sam Bankman tried to take me out, and I showed him who was
Yeah.
boss," like,
He,
I don't think he's any
he's the
better.
reason why FTX collapsed, his biggest
Yeah,
competitor.
exactly,
Like
yeah.
he was thinking about buying them, and then like he saw their internal documents, leaked them, and then it collapsed. And that was like that was just the best thing for him because they're the biggest competitor.
Yeah,
But I feel like we're about to see something happen with Binance pretty
yeah.
shortly.
I could definitely see it, I mean, I feel like just underlying, just seems like there's just a lot of like rumblings and just I mean obviously like I'm always following like GameStop and like a lot of people are always saying
Yeah.
like the slightest thing, but I feel like it's so weird that this like you see all these stocks just exploding right now. Like Bed Bath and Beyond was up over 100% today. Like just
Yeah.
insane things. Like
What what is going on with that?
Yeah, it's
What's
just
going on with Bed Bath and Beyond?
like to me, I think it's one partly another like just pump and distraction from GameStop and things like that. But I also think too, like, is it like, are we seeing all these like big pumps and like liquidity plays in some way because some people know that like something's about to happen, like such as like Binance just blowing up in some way or something like that. But again,
Yeah.
just like tinfoil hat there. But
Yeah. I don't know. It's a little everything's a little shifty right now.
hmm
Like I don't know, like FTX collapsing. I have my own tinfoil hat kind of about like what happened with FTX.
hmm
Um like there that was kind of just being used as a money laundering scheme. Like
hmm
I wouldn't necessarily say Ponzi scheme, but it was I don't know, it's kind of weird, but it was definitely like a huge money laundering scheme. They're using it like customer funds to cover for their losses.
hmm
Um and but like they were using that and like for political donations and stuff, which was really creepy. Like
Yeah.
really like sketchy and creepy to find out about that. $137 million to
hmm
like regulators and stuff. It just like insane amounts of money donated to political,
hmm
like people who became regulators and those who were running for office. Um, and like that kind of makes me wonder if the people who are in charge, are doing this kind of stuff on purpose. Like they're
hmm
profiting a big time off of like the crypto hype and
hmm
then collapsing these exchanges and then like
Just doing it
moving
all over.
forward. Yeah. And then like pushing each step of the way, pushing their digital currency, like the central bank digital
hmm
currency. Like, because I mean, it's so convenient that these huge exchanges are like, I mean, now Binance is all shifty. It's so convenient that like FTX collapsed and just when they wanted to do the central bank digital currency.
Yes, yeah,
And
that happens
yeah,
right before, like, all these companies come
yeah,
out, and then Fidelity's like, "Oh, yeah, now we're getting into crypto," like, and
yeah,
Fidelity was invested in that in one way or another, like, it's like, "Oh, what great
yeah,
timing," like
yeah. It's everything's just a little convenient for me.
Yeah,
Um, Bitcoin price prediction in 10 years. What's it at right now?
I think it's at, like, a little over 20. 10
Yeah,
years?
23,
That'd be,
22,
like
20, 22, 8. I don't
mm,
know. Honestly,
hard to
it's
say.
very hard to say. Um,
S If it was,
it,
like I don't know, do you think it'd be much higher then?
I don't know. I mean, it certainly has those like hypes, like where it goes up really high, but I'd say it's probably going to stay the same.
Mhm,
It might, like adjusted for inflation, go up in value, but I
mhm,
don't I don't know enough about it to make a certain statement. I don't think it's gonna have one of those huge, like it's gonna go straight up to 100,000 and then just
mhm,
stay there. Like if it goes up to like 100,000 or something like that, it's gonna crash,
mhm.
and then it's gonna like go back up. It's gonna do that. It's gonna fluctuate a lot, but
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I feel like it could be like, it's just gonna be cycles, like kind of how it's
Hmm.
been. And over time, as just more people like actually hold it and like institutions. But the thing is, like, we're just such like a bizarre time right now where like so much is changing with the industry and like they're trying to control it so much. But like
Yeah.
part of it is the whole like decentralized, like that's and truly owning it, like that's part of the hype for it. But
Yeah.
like, how do you allow that? But like also tax, like there's so much to be answered. But, like, if, it does all get answered and happen over time, I feel like in the long term, it'll have a lot of value because there's, like, a finite amount of it, like, they can't
That's
just
true.
no person can just go create, like, a ton more. But I feel like so much of it comes down to, like, how is it regulated? How is it utilized? Like
That's another big thing. You said Bitcoin price prediction in 10 years. Will it even be around in 10 years, or will it have been
yeah.
illegalized?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly, exactly. That's what I start to wonder.
yeah, and then GameStop in 5 years.
Mhm,
That's another one. I don't know if are they going to shut
mhm,
it down. Like, we don't know what's going to happen 5 years from now. Like,
mhm.
what the economy is going to change. Is it going to be like a controlled economy by that time?
Yeah,
Like, I
no,
don't know. People
I know what
people
you
are
mean,
making
yeah.
big moves in that direction. It's very uncertain. I have no clue. I can't even begin to wonder.
Yeah. No, it's so hard to say anything like nowadays. I feel like full disclosure too, like I do own some like Bitcoin and like some different cryptos like a little bit. But like I don't have any like pretty much like what I'm mostly in right now, and obviously I'm sure you could guess, is like GameStop. So like that's
Mhm.
mostly what I talk about. But like I do own like a little bit of Bitcoin, and like I have some Ethereum, some Loopring, which Loopring is like the exchange that basically powers like GameStop's marketplace. And it's like a layer
Mhm.
two solution for Ethereum. They do it for like the digital assets with like the whole gaming thing. But basically like it all comes down to like how is crypto going to be handled, because now FTX, like everything that's happened with it, has it in the spotlight, and forever like people have a negative connotation unless there's some like new way or like new safeguard, you know what I mean, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, we'll still accept Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin will always be accepted if it's not
Hmm.
like I don't know how you could really illegalize Bitcoin because
Hmm.
you can't really track it. Um, but I feel like Bitcoin would always be used for a decentralized aspect is like the big thing why Bitcoin is even popular.
Hmm.
Like, you could buy things without a trace, online and stuff. Like there will always be somebody using Bitcoin. Like I
Yeah.
think, or if not Bitcoin, some other
A coin, yeah.
decentralized digital currency.
Hmm. I think even like beyond that, like regardless, there'll always be like blockchain technology.
Yeah.
Like that's really like what's the most powerful thing behind it all. And because I feel like just Bitcoin's like the first, like that kind of like gives it that much more value too. And
Hmm.
like I definitely think like it all comes down to like for me, like how is it regular? Like how is it actually like handled, like, and because we're just in such like a controlled world, it feels like it's very easy to think they'll just be like, sorry, you're not allowed to have that anymore. And like, yeah, you're right, we could
Yeah.
still technically, like I could probably still send it to you, but it's
Hmm.
like its value will just collapse, I feel like, when that kind of happens, which would obviously be kind of alarming. But
Yeah. Or I mean, it would go up, in value,
mhm.
or it would like I think if it was made illegal, it would crash in value, but then it would like go up in value as
Yeah,
like it
because
would
then
hit a
people would
point,
want
but
it in a
then
way.
yeah, then it would go way back up because its utility
Mhm.
becomes massive. A lot of people are in it right now, yeah,
Mhm.
for the usage, or not for the
Mhm.
gains, not for the usage, but it has like utility, a lot of utility that I guess
Mhm.
it's not really realized right now. Because
Mhm.
it's not like people haven't made it where it's like you can just do Apple Pay for like Bitcoin or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
like, well, if that becomes a thing, then for sure. But yeah, mainly its usage is for very specific
Mhm.
scenarios. But if it's actually rolled out where there's a central bank digital currency and there's no more cash, like actual physical dollar bills, we all go straight to digital,
Mhm.
then its utility will go up a lot.
Yeah.
Where that will not be trackable, where every other purchase you make is, um,
Mhm.
yeah, and sold to advertisers and whatever. Like that's your
Yeah.
hidden last bastion of privacy, the blockchain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true. And then with Bitcoin, like you'd have to wonder like how could it be used like you're kind of saying, like in a way that it's like Apple Pay where it's just like boop. But then
Hmm.
at the same time, like I feel like a lot of people kind of are doing like store of value where it's like you want to have it like just kind of like you might want to have some gold like in the safe,
Yeah,
but like kind of like the digital version of that. But then
yeah.
it's also like I don't know, at what point do you want to like transact it and do you want to hold it? But let's see.
Oh,
Maybe,
this is a good one.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm reading your chat. I feel like
No, no, you're
I feel like
dude,
it's
you're good.
yours.
I'm terrible at reading it, so I'm glad you are.
Okay.
It's like I have so much to work on with streaming. You're like honestly, I feel like you definitely like got more experience with it. So well, I not
Yeah.
you do
Yeah.
because you've been
I've
doing it
been
since
I have been
2017.
reading chat for a few years, but
Yeah.
yeah, so um yeah, central bank digital currency in Nigeria failed because people didn't trust their government.
Hmm.
I didn't actually know about the central bank digital currency being tried anywhere else in the
Hmm.
world, but yeah, I feel like if it were to ever come around, it would be like okay, so because the US is really unique in the way that it's run, where like the 10th Amendment gives states the power to regulate anything that's not the federal government's
Hmm.
ability to, in the other amendments. So I feel like if there is a central bank digital currency, it will be heavily like it will be imposed in places like New York and California, where that's like a big popular. The central bank digital currency thing is like very popular with the Democratic Party. Like it's the
Mhm.
idea of putting more regulations on crypto, which is just happens to be a popular thing with the Democratic Party or like the establishment, like the
Mhm.
centrists kind of thing. And like the more left on the political spectrum because it's more of a controlled aspect of the economy.
Mhm.
Um, but where it goes to like other states, I think it'll be really similar to like mask mandates, right? Like
Mhm.
where one party likes it, the other one doesn't. So like it really depends on which party is the one to enact it. Like if it's a
Mhm.
Republican administration that does it, GOP states will have it and Democrat states won't. If it's Democrats, then
Mhm.
but I feel like we're going to see it soon. Like we're going to see it under probably the Biden administration. Gary
Mhm.
Gensler is a big supporter of the central bank digital currency. Like,
Mhm.
so I feel like it'll probably happen under him, which is why I'm saying it's going to be the Republican states who probably won't have it.
Mhm. Makes
But
sense.
I think that there will be huge pushback. Like the U.S. didn't, like the large portions of the U.S. did not have like the vaccine passports or
Mhm.
anything like that. Anywhere that was like implemented, there were protests for it. I feel like we'll see the same thing. Like America is
Mhm.
intrinsically libertarian. Like
Mhm.
any sort of authoritarian measure like that, like will have to go by force, which just won't go over well.
Mhm.
But I think we'll see the CBDC happen in like Canada or
Mhm. Oh
Switzerland
yeah. Yeah,
or
definitely. Yeah.
Germany or France, the UK for sure,
Mhm.
Australia, New Zealand. Australia already kind of has it.
Oh
Australia already
really?
has like
Hmm.
yeah, they have some sort of social credit thing
Hmm.
that they were trying out with like ATMs and stuff. I don't I got to look at that,
Mhm.
but yeah, I don't think we'll ever see it truly happen in the U.S. Maybe in certain states, but it'll go up to the Supreme Court because
Yeah,
it's not
that
in the
makes sense.
Constitution, and it's not. Of course, if the Federal Reserve does it, they're not really a part of the government, so it's not technically against the Constitution.
Yeah.
I don't know. But let me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna search this Australia thing.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely curious. Tell me what you find. But yeah, no, it's definitely a hope that, if this does start to happen, people are gonna stand up and be like, that you should not be doing this to me. Like I just worry now that like we just so many like I don't want to say like in a bad way, like so many weak people or just so many like nobody stands for anything, if that makes sense now. I feel like nobody like everyone's just like with like I flow with the wind, like nobody like has like passion for it. Or everyone will be like, well, that's just how things are now. Like, like people just kind of like accept it. And I'm like, what? We should be like, no, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
especially for something
Um,
like this. Yeah, I'm in Canada. Yeah, that was Ryan Sung. That was very bizarre. Like the whole thing in Canada, like
yeah,
literally like
the trucker
peaceful,
convoy.
literally peaceful protest. And he's like, we're freezing your bank accounts. Like that was kind of like an
Yeah, that was that
example of
was
like
that was
the
scary.
they
I
said
saw
if you
that.
donate they said even if you
Mhm.
donate, you would have your bank account frozen, which is crazy. Like
Right.
that's without even
Yeah.
the central like currency for them. Like without a
Yeah.
central Canadian dollar.
I don't know. I feel like and again, I don't know how much you can really rely on poll figures or like
Hmm.
anything like that. How much a party is, polling based on, what other institution.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like the general consensus is Canada is like more towards like a CBDC.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, you have Bill C-11, like, which is insane. I don't know if you've heard about Bill C-11,
No.
but yeah, it's like this Canadian Parliament bill that like kind of like censors people who aren't Canadian online. Like you have to
Hmm.
comply. It treats individual content creators as um, broadcasters. So you have to
Hmm.
like comply with their regulations. If you're in Canada, you have to comply with their regulations on diversity and pro Canadian messaging. And if you're outside Canada, you get less prioritization um, because you're not Canadian. I don't know. It's very strange,
Weird.
but
Yeah.
just Canada has that tendency for more authoritarian policies,
Hmm.
because there's not really anything stopping it from happening other than the people protesting, but they don't
Hmm.
really listen to that. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if anywhere is going to happen in North America, it's going to happen in Canada.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hope it's not the case, but
Hmm.
because that's just like a move right towards authoritarianism.
Yeah.
You know, and
No,
the
yeah,
ability to
absolutely.
track everyone's purchases, yeah, scary.
Yeah, it's just like, why would you even want to, like, other than to, like, just, control. Like, there's literally no other, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah, to catch a criminal," "Oh, yeah, do this," "Oh, yeah, for that," but it's like, no, it's all to control and, like, keep an eye on every little thing, and, like, that's, like, I don't know
Yeah.
how more people don't
That's
find that alarming, like
that's been the goal of the government since 9/11, you know? That's been the
Yeah.
goal of the West since 9/11 is to just have more power
Mhm.
to spy on, like, just know everything, watch
Mhm.
everyone all the time, intercept emails, look, it's
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I always, like, joke around, like, when I'm talking about GameStop, I'm like, "Oh, they're the short sellers will listen to me right now." Like, when I, like, talk to my friends, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we gotta put our phones in the other room."
Yeah, you never know.
They're in the stream right now, maybe.
Mhm, yeah, right?
Dude, yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
the GameStop bull and the guy that was on CNBC are in one stream right now, yo, we better get eyes on this, like
Yeah. Yeah, dude, if Jim Cramer, if you're watching this right now, I already know I'm in his head rent
Yeah,
free. That's yeah,
that's
that's
funny.
funny. I mean, I was streaming like on Saturday, and I was talking about like my experience on CNBC, and my fire alarm in my building went off,
Mhm.
and I had to leave, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, they're after him."
He's after you.
Yeah, it's.
They're trying
I
to get
mean,
you out.
yeah,
It's crazy. Let's check chat. Kevin O'Leary is promising ideas for the Canadian government. I haven't heard them, but
yeah. I haven't heard
I'm
anything
sure.
about. I know he's Canadian, but I haven't heard anything about
Yeah.
his
Oh, damn, I
ideas.
didn't even know he was Canadian, but that makes sense if he has
Yeah.
ideas for it.
I saw this Pierre Polyev is gonna save Canada.
Mhm.
I don't know about Pierre Polyev. Okay, I'm not Canadian. If you can tell by my my shirt, I'm not Canadian, right?
Yeah. That's like when I
But
said, I was like, "Oh, yeah, maybe I'll go to Croatia later." You're like, "What the fuck?"
no, I mean I don't know anything about Croatia either. But
Yeah, no, 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 I'm just kidding. I know I'm just yeah.
but yeah, so um I've heard good thing. I've seen him speak, right? And I've heard positive things about Pierre Polyev. But I mean, if anybody's like truly anti-establishment, I would think that it's probably what's his name? Maxime Bernier, right? Bernier. I don't know. I forget how to pronounce
Not
his
sure.
name. Yeah. Well, I feel like he would be probably the most anti-establishment, right? The People's Party of Canada, right? Or like the Populist Party of
Mhm,
Canada. I've seen him on YouTube speak,
mhm,
and he seems pretty outspoken anti-establishment. Um, and I've heard that the Conservative Party of Canada is pretty much one and the same with the Liberal Party of Canada, which is
mhm,
Trudeau. Again, I know
mhm.
nothing about Canadian politics.
Honestly, I'm
Um,
having a hard time following, to be quite honest with you.
yeah, I don't know.
But
I
yeah.
just I'm just against the establishment like
Mhm.
100% of the time. So anybody who's also against the establishment's usually, good in my book. I don't
Yeah,
yeah, I don't
yeah.
know.
I know what you mean, or, like, anyone that's questioning anything, I'm like, "I like you."
Yeah, I'm friends with it's like not even a political thing, right? It's like cross
Yeah, yeah.
spectrum. Just
Exactly,
people
yeah, yeah.
against the establishment. And that's funny
Yeah.
because I was talking to somebody who was like a self-described communist, right? Like
Mhm,
a Marxist Leninist, like they were adamantly anti-capitalist, right?
mhm.
And then I was like discussing my opinion on things and they were like wow, we agree a lot. And I was like, okay, where'd you put me on the political spectrum? Oh, far left. And I'm like, well, would you actually believe, I'm a libertarian, right? I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm a capitalist libertarian. Like, wow, what? I'm like, yeah, you see, it's like we're trained to like to think we hate each
Yes,
other,
exactly,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we,
So
we
nothing ever
agree on
happens, like,
exactly. We
everyone's just
agree
fighting
on
each
way
other,
more.
like
Yeah. We all agree that those in power are the ones that are causing us harm. We just don't really we disagree on how to get rid of them. Or like we don't disagree on how to get rid of them. We disagree on what to do after, we get rid of them. But I feel like we
Yeah,
should
yeah.
focus on getting rid of the establishment and
Exactly, yeah.
then, from there figure it out.
Yeah, because it's like nobody can ever, like, say, "Hey," like, nobody's ever focused on, like, telling like, putting enough attention on, like, real issues. Everyone's focused on, like, pointing fingers at, like, the other side instead of, like,
Yeah.
being like, "Hey, the people in office, like, aren't doing jack shit. It doesn't matter, like,
Mhm.
if they're left or right. They're just
they're
watching us all
hurting us.
fight. Yeah, they're hurting
Yeah.
us because we're just like hurting ourselves, like fighting each other.
Yeah.
I feel like definitely something kind of cool about like Super Stonk is like big thing on there
Mhm.
is like I feel like politics like never come up or like nothing like ever gets political because everyone's just like we're just here to like GameStop. We're not going to make this political. Like and that's kind of like
Yeah.
one of the cool aspects about it where it's like nobody wants to make it or like oh he thinks this or she thinks that. The only disagreements I would say are like about holding other stocks. Like some people hold Bed Bath and say like oh that's going to squeeze too. But like
Mhm.
like most people, like me personally, like I'm just kind of in GameStop. Like some people trade those, but some people are adamant, like, oh, it's the same thing and this and that, and like that's kind of the only divide. But even that, it's like, all right, well, at the end of the day, you might be saying that, but you still like GameStop. I like GameStop, like whatever. Like,
Mhm. The,
so
the the unifying thing is that, like,
exactly.
regardless of, if you like, if you like Biden or not, like, the establishment, or like, not, I guess I shouldn't say like Biden because he's pretty establishment. But like, if you like
Hmm.
Trump or not, like, the establishment is still fucking us. Like, the economy that's rigged is still fucking us,
Hmm.
regardless of, if we are, left or right, traditionally speaking. Like, we're still
Hmm.
getting fucked by the establishment, and like, that's still the common enemy.
Hmm.
So I guess that's why not politics is really never brought up when it comes to that, because it's like the realization is there,
Yeah,
that it's not a political issue. It's the fact that the economy's fucked, right? Like,
yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, and it's
mhm,
true because like when you just look at it, it's like
mhm,
we just print money like endlessly, and like
yeah,
the fact like we went like first like the pandemic like kind of took our money printing from like here to here. The fact we just kept like at this like upward trajectory is just crazy to me. I'm like, how did that not like tail off? Like who like
yeah,
how is this allowed to which how it's allowed to
it's
happen because the
crazy.
Federal Reserve is a private entity, right? And just like
Hmm.
raise the debt ceiling and
Yeah, it's
or
fucked.
non-political entity, I should say, quote unquote.
Yeah,
But
right. And then we have the those in Congress just putting through
mhm.
massive spending bills without any of the funds to, back it up. Just print more
Yeah,
money,
exactly. Yeah.
incur more debt. Who fucking cares? It's like
Yeah.
their lobbyists are paying them money. They're getting a little portion of that money, that taxpayer money, for their own
Mhm.
stupid projects. Like,
Exactly, yeah, they're like, if it's their own good, they're like, "Oh, whatever."
yeah, and one of these bills, I heard, I don't know how accurate this is, but in one of these
Mhm,
past bills that happened when, I think it was during, like, before the midterms, there was a bill that was going through the Senate that the House had passed because it was a Democrat, like, bill, so it was like passed by the
mhm,
House because they controlled the House, and then it was going on to the Senate, and they needed Joe Manchin's vote,
mhm.
so they just gave his wife a raise in the bill, and then he voted on it. And it was
That's
what? How
crazy.
the fuck is this allowed?
That's
Like,
literally in the writing, like, not even
yeah,
trying to hide it, like, that's crazy.
no, yeah, it was like, what is this?
It's nuts,
I
yeah.
don't. It's crazy. They're so transparently corrupt on both sides of the aisle, and it's just like,
Mhm,
it's. I think everybody knows it. Everybody
mhm.
realizes it. It's just caught up in the day to day. But if we all, like, just had a, like, moment, where we,
Yeah,
like, come on, let's just set aside our differences and realize who's really fucking us right now.
yeah.
You know?
No, it's true, yeah, but
Yep.
fortunately, I would no one's ever just gonna drop everything and be like, "Wait a minute,
Yeah.
I'm being fucked,"
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
but, yeah. But I guess we should probably kind of wrap it up. I can't believe it's already been almost two
Yeah.
hours. I mean, it's been a great
That's
convo.
crazy.
I mean,
It
so
has. It has, for sure.
yeah,
I enjoyed this.
yeah, me too. I mean, if you definitely want to like collab again in the future, we could definitely stay in touch. I'll come on your
Yeah.
stream one time maybe, or you can come
Yeah.
on here again, something like that. We'll figure it out.
Absolutely. Let me know.
But all right, and then I guess the last thing I'll ask you about is like, are you a hockey fan at all?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Because I saw the All Star game was down in Florida, and I was like, oh damn,
Oh,
like,
yeah, I had a few
mhm.
friends who went to that. I guess if I'm
Oh
anything,
nice.
I'm a Seattle Kraken fan.
Oh, okay,
Um,
nice. Because they're
so
newest team, and you're a Seahawks
yeah.
fan, so that makes sense. So
Yeah.
nice. I'm a Devils fan.
Yeah.
They're actually good for the first time in a very long time. So like
Oh,
happy
there
happy to
you
watch
go.
hockey this year.
Nice.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me
But
on. By the
yeah,
way, again, I don't know, I'm gonna shout myself out again.
go for it.
Twitch,
Yeah.
right here, Isolation Streams. I stream on Twitch on the weekends at 6 p.m. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Eastern Standard Time, by the way. Um, And yeah, thank you for having me on.
Dude, of
I really
course. Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, man. Nathan from
Yeah,
Florida. Here he is,
that's
guys. Here
me.
you have him.
It was awesome.
All right.